to the audience. Hi, Raouf. How are you doing?
Thank you, Vlad. Hi, everyone. I'm Raouf. I started as a freelancer 4 years ago, helping B2B companies with their growth. So basically, I started as a paid ads specialist, and very quickly, 1 year after, I started doing cold emails, so outreach. I started my own agency 2 years ago. Then I sold it to my co-founder at the time. And nowadays, I help big tech French companies launching or perfectioning their outreach engines. So basically, everything that goes from cold emails to LinkedIn DMs to handling the CRM, even a little bit of cold calls. So that's basically what I do. And just for those who asked, Sales Tech Scout is a media that I just launched 3 months ago. The main goal for this media is just to promote the best tools that can help B2B teams increase their sales. So obviously there is a big part that is focused on outbound. So everything that goes from cold email platforms to infrastructure platforms such as Makedozo or even CRMs. I'm very happy to be here.
Congratulations, very nice.
Thank you.
So I think we can start. Could you tell us a bit more how to start your very first campaign? What will be the very first step?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that for me, the first step is just thinking about the fact that outbound exists. Is it going to be helpful for my company or not? Obviously, you don't want to spend a lot of time and money on something that is going to end up with zero results. And most of the time, companies are based on industries that have potential results when it comes to outreach. So let me take a quick example. If you're targeting bakers, I don't know, US bakers or French bakers, obviously the best way to contact those people are not going to be via cold email. So the first step for me is just to think about your persona, your ICP, and just realize if sending a cold email, sending a LinkedIn DM can make sense in this particular context. If you have the context and you have the people that are present online, that have valid email addresses and that are present on LinkedIn, there, I think it's a no-brainer to start any email or cold LinkedIn campaigns. But obviously, this is the first step, just to realize whether or not your top clients or potential prospects are going to answer to you on LinkedIn or via email if you send them a message. If not, obviously outbound is not for you, and maybe you need to try other ways to contact them, maybe cold calling or even direct sales. But this is the first step. And if this first step is great for you and you know that people are going to answer to you, then the next step is just to think about the whole strategy. Maybe we can enter into the whole strategy system, Vlad. But let me know if you need more information about this subject.
Well, I think it's up to you. It would be great to learn more about the strategy and so on.
Yeah. So let's say that your ideal clients, your ideal prospects have a valid email address. They are looking at their valid email address. They are present on LinkedIn. So basically you can send them a DM. They're going to see it and potentially going to answer to you. Then the goal is to make sure how you want to target them. Obviously, as a business owner or a sales rep, you have a territory. So that means that you have a list of persona and a list of ICPs that you can target. The first step is to categorize them. Obviously, you want to focus on the best persona because they are going to be the ones who are going to bring the more money to your business. But you don't want to, I would say, burn those best personas, because the first test that you're going to do in outbound are going to be on less prioritized personas. So for example, not your top client, but maybe 1 or 2 steps below. As soon as you have this categorization of personas, the main goal next will be to start the different tests. Before even talking about which tool you need to select, how you're going to contact them, first goal is to categorize, then focus on one or two personas that obviously are not your ideal persona, because you don't want to send a lot of emails and a lot of LinkedIn DMs to people that could be your best customer and burn those people with unsolicited messages, messages that you sent without testing, and just burning your potential. So you're going to select personas that are less important. And based on those, now we can start talking about the different tests that we can provide to make sure that the day we're going to talk to your best customer or your best potential customer, we have everything in mind. We tested everything to make sure that the results are going to be there. So obviously the tests, you're going to run them on the, I would say, lower tier ICP. Let's say that we selected the lower tier ICP, maybe, I don't know, head of growth of the company or whatever you guys are targeting. Then you're going to start thinking about the strategy. The main goal for the first test is just to make sure that you test enough things, enough strategies, enough approaches to find a result that is convincing and that is, I would say, data speaking. What we need is just to make sure that we have results that speaks for themselves and that can be replicable. Sorry if my English is not the best. I'm not a native English speaker. I'm a French speaker, but I'm trying my best. So as soon as we selected which ICP we're going to target first to do the first test, now we have to think about what are going to be the first tests. This is something that is, I would say, not hard to think about, but you need to just take a piece of paper or a Google Doc document and just write everything that could make sense in your eyes. Because obviously you have a lot of intuitions. Some of them are going to be true, others are going to be totally false, but you need to write everything down just to make sure that when you test approaches, you have everything in mind. So let's take 2 or 3 examples are going to speak louder than my words. For example, imagine that I'm going to target head of growth at tech companies. Obviously, I'm not going to target the head of growth at Apple because Apple is going to be my best potential customer. So this one, I'm going to save it for later. As soon as all the tests are ready, I know that I have results. I know how to target each account. Now I can target the head of growth at Apple. But at the beginning, I can start with the head of growth at, I don't know, maybe Maildozo, which is a smaller company. And that is going to provide us results and data that is going to help us sell to Apple if Apple is the best potential customer. So the first test will be to understand what is the persona need, what is the pain, and how we can target them. This is, I would say, the first step in any outreach campaign is to understand the pain of your prospect. Obviously, here it will be the lower tier ICP, but understand what is the pain that they are experiencing every day and that you can solve. As soon as you have this, basically the messaging is going to be turned around this subject. So how you can help them, I would say, get rid of their pain. So the messaging is not the most important at this part. Messaging is the last part, but obviously having all those strategies are going to help you create a good messaging. And once you have the persona, the idea of what messaging you're going to provide, because you know the pain, you know the need, now we need to know which approach do we need to focus on. An approach is kind of a vague word, but it kind of means how we are going to talk to someone. Let's say I'm talking with Vlad. Today, Vlad's pain is that he didn't start cold email or outreach campaigns until I would say a few weeks. This is what you told me. So obviously your pain is that now you have a lack of knowledge and you want to fill this gap. And my goal as maybe someone who is selling knowledge based on cold email and outreach is to help you understand that your problem can be solved by my solution. And I won't ever talk to you about what I do. I'm going to talk to you about what you lack in what you try to do, in what you are trying to do, sorry. And this is kind of an approach that is very relevant because everyone is going to answer to you if you're talking about them. If you're talking about you, you're going to get less answers because people are kind of egocentric. So they like when, and this is like basic human psychology, they like when we talk about about them, sorry. So you need to talk about those people, their pain, and maybe at the end of the email, you can, or the message, you can add a little line about what you provide. So this is basically how the messaging is creating itself. I'm not even thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm just theorizing what is the ICP, what is the pain, what they need, etc. And the messaging is becoming very clear. Just to make sure that we highlight the messaging, what we need is an icebreaker. What we call an icebreaker is like a small sentence that you can put at the beginning of your message, just to make sure that the person seeing your message or your email or your DM is going to answer to you because you are relevant. For example, for Vlad, it's the fact that he started cold email just a few weeks ago, but this is funny because his company is like based around cold email and outreach campaign. Obviously, if I send a message like this to Vlad, he's going to answer to me. Either he's going to find it funny, or either he's going to find it very relevant because this is what he's thinking about. So this could be a potential approach. You're not going to have a perfect approach for everyone because everyone has different pains and have different experiences. But what we do in outbound, and that is very powerful, is that we use what we call intent data or signals. Signals are, I would say, triggers that will help you have a great icebreaker. For example, as soon as someone changes his job, so for example, if tomorrow Vlad is starting a new job at HubSpot, obviously, for me, this is the great time to contact him because he's changing his job. In my messaging, I will talk about the fact that he just changed his job, and I will have more probability for him to answer to me because I'm being more relevant. And this signal can be found in a lot of different tools. Maybe we can talk about the tools afterwards. But for example, in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can find the people who have just changed jobs. Another signal that could be interesting is, for example, as soon as you have signed the client, you can find all the lookalikes of your client in the same industry and target them. The signal will be that you have helped a company in this space doing ABCD. So obviously you are relevant enough and professional enough to help the company you're targeting do the same. And if you mix those different signals, so here I just talked about two, but there is a lot of different signals. It can be job offers, new hires, fundraising, etc., etc. If you mix those signals, you're going to have a lot more results and a lot more answers. The thing is, in 2015, sorry, doing outreach was very easy. You just needed to send an email, and you had. I remember back in the days, I had my head of growth showing me some results. He had like 50% answer rate, which is today something that is very hard. I would even say impossible to get. Nowadays, with the rise of people doing outreach, people doing outbound, you're competing against other people that are doing basically the same thing as you, trying to get the prospect's attention. So obviously, you need to be different in your approach, being more relevant than ever. And this is what signals are very important because they help you find the right timing on which you can contact someone. And most of the time, if you contact someone in the right timing, being relevant, talking about them, you're going to get an answer. The rest of the transaction or the relationship, the business relationship, is going to depend on how you are going to follow up, if you're going to call him or her, and what are the next steps that you're going to do. But from a strictly outbound point of view, what we need when we launch a campaign is get an answer. It can be either a positive answer, a negative answer. It doesn't matter. As we need answers to analyze the statistics of things that we are doing, make sure that we're on the right track, get feedback, and understand what people are perceiving of your messages. So yeah, this is a small, I would say, resume or summary.
We'll have energy
Oh.
already called a company.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I
sorry.
muted you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So yeah, I was saying, Vlad, this is a general summary, but this is how we want to look at things, because when you mix everything that I told you, starting from low tier ICP, to start with different strategies, using signals, etc., etc. When you try doing some tests and you try to contact 100, 1,000, 10,000 people, you're going to have a lot of feedbacks. You're going to understand what is working best for you, for your use case. And this data is going to help you a lot to sell to your top prospect or top potential clients. And for me, outbound is, I view it this way. We start on low tier ICP with small strategies that we theorized, and we try to get the data that can prove that we are right or prove that we are wrong. And as soon as we are wrong or right, we can decide on which road we need to take on. Sometimes with the first test, you can even find out that maybe outbound is not for you because you're going to have zero answers. And this is where, small part for Maildozo, tools like Maildozo are very important, because when it comes to LinkedIn DM, you don't have any deliverability issues. So obviously, if you send a message to someone, if he accepts it, he's going to receive it and read it. But when it comes to cold emails, it's not the same thing, because uh, maybe you noticed, but on your Gmail or Yahoo or Outlook, you have what we call a spam folder. And if your email goes to the spam folder, you're never going to get read. So you just send an email for nothing. So this is why having a great infrastructure is very important, because if you don't have the infrastructure, every decision that you're going to take based on the data of your first test is going to be wrong. So that's why tools like Mendozo are very important, just to make sure that you're taking decisions based on real data and not data that is, I won't say fake, but if your emails go to spam, your decisions are not going to be good, because the data that you collect is not relevant. You need to have people reading your emails, seeing the data behind it, and then taking action and decision based on this.
Okay, great. So as you said, as I understand right, the very first step is to define a strategy, to understand if cold emails fit you or not, and to analyze your clients, your ICP, their pain points, and to come up with some ideas for tests you could launch. Okay, that's great. What can we do next?
So
the main,
yeah,
the main problem. Where can I mine leads for my cold emails?
to extract leads.
Yep.
Yeah, so most of the time people are using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is, I would say, the best. I would say that it's the best data out there, because LinkedIn is the biggest social media based on professional people, and the data won't get fresher than on LinkedIn, because obviously people are very active on LinkedIn, and this is, I would say, the best B2B data set that you can find on the market. Obviously, you can find other data sets that have different data, but for me, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the best, especially if you're starting out. On LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can find companies, but also people, and you can find different signals, as I told you. For example, people who change jobs, people who are posting on LinkedIn, people who are relations to people that you know on LinkedIn, for maybe introductions. So this is a great way to start, starting on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then after you can go on higher tech solutions like Clay and ZoomInfo, Apollo, etc. When it comes to the next step, something that I didn't mention is what you're going to say in the email is very important. Obviously, you need to talk about the prospect, not about you. But what you can do, and that is very powerful, in emails and in LinkedIn DMs is offer your service or product as an email. So this is what I call service as an email. So basically, you're going to provide your expertise within the email. Most of the time when I work with my French clients or international clients, Indian, Americans, what we're trying to achieve when we send emails is to offer a lot of value in the email. The main goal is to make sure that the prospect reading the email finds it relevant, personalized, smart, clever, but also very valuable. And to make an email very valuable, you need to add something. Most of the time, you can add your own service or your own product. For example, Maildozo, as a solution that creates infrastructures, could in an email talk about the fact that they created this amazing guide that can help you know everything about deliverability and how an infrastructure about cold email needs to be set up. And this will be the value added in the email. So basically, they are going to provide their own service, their own expertise as an email. And this value provided is going to generate a lot of positive answers. And this is what we need when we send cold emails or LinkedIn DMs. We need positive answers. And to have positive answers, there is different pillars: personalization, being relevant, being clever, smart, maybe a little bit funny, but not too much, and especially add a lot of value. So don't hesitate to offer to prospects maybe a service or a product directly in the email. Obviously, you're not going to do it for everyone that you contact, but if you say to people, I'm going to offer you, for example, a list of leads. If you answer yes to this email, as soon as someone answers yes, you can provide the lead list. For example, if I'm a dataset provider, for example, this could be a great way to have people saying yes to me in emails. And this is what we want. We want people saying yes, sending a lot of value, and then following the natural process of a commercial relationship and a sales relationship. I don't know if it makes sense. Don't hesitate if you want maybe more information or more details on how this can work.
Yeah, thanks. We have a question from our attendees about the reply rate. What's are you considering the average reply rates for cold emails?
I would say that the first step when it comes to reply rate is just to make sure that the tool you are using is not counting out of office replies as replies, because obviously an automatic reply from someone who is in vacation is not a reply. So a lot of tools are keeping those replies as replies just to make sure that you have a great deal of replies and a great volume. So the first step is to withdraw those kind of replies, because these are not replies. These are just automatic replies from a bot or whatever companies are using. So this is the first step. The second step is to make sure that on the other replies that you get, just analyzing how much of interested replies you have and not interested replies you have. I think that maybe the best rate that you can have is 50-50, having 50% of the people saying no, 50% of the people saying yes. Obviously, you will find people that are going to say, you need more, and sometimes you can have maybe everyone saying yes, but let's just stick to this model. And when it comes to the overall reply rate, I think that's somewhere between 3 to 7 is very good when you begin. It's very good if you only take into account the positive and negative replies. This is something that is good when you start. And I think that if you have a great machine that is working, a great engine, you should aim at 10% reply. This is something very hard to achieve, but this is something that is possible. And at the end of the day, I think that this question also doesn't make very sense, because obviously if you're selling something maybe at $1 million per year, you don't care about having 10% replied. Even if you have 0.1 and just 1% replied yes, and you sold him the 1 million package deal, it's enough for you. So this is obviously based also on what is your average value price. Sorry, I don't have the exact name in English, but yeah, it depends on what you are selling and what you are getting out of it. Obviously, if you're selling something at $10 per month, you should aim at 20 to 30% reply rates, because this is something that everyone can, I would say, afford. Not everyone needs it, but everyone can afford it. Obviously, if you're selling something at 1 million euros per month or per year, the reply rates are going to be very different, the personas too. And yeah, it depends on what you are selling. But as I said, I think that between 3 to 7 is a good percentage of answers. And after, it depends on what are your quotas, and if you can hit your quotas based on the reply rates that you currently have.
Yeah, thanks. I do agree with you, because we really need to filter out of office messages, because we have tons of them and it doesn't count. And according to the average reply rate, for me, it's maybe from 1 to 5, and it really depends on the product, because it depends on what you're offering. So I'm sorry for that.
No problem.
Also, I had a question about the limitation of cold email. First of all, I think we have to notice that it works well only for B2B marketing, but how about different markets? And I was wondering if it's okay to use outbound in Europe, because there could be some limitation due to GDPR. How do you handle it?
Maybe just before answering to your question, I think that we had a question from, I don't want to mispronounce his or her name. It's Abhilash. With AI tools coming into the picture, do you think? Okay, great. Do you think a one-to-many selling strategy will work in outbound? Can you just maybe provide me more context about what is a one-to-many selling strategy? As I told you, English is not my first language, so some words for me are. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
tell
can
me.
you hear me? Hi,
Yeah.
Abhilash this side.
Yeah, we do. We can hear you.
Right. So, Rolf, I just want to understand. See, in most of the outbound strategies that you have talked so far in the seminar session, has been from a perspective of categorizing the ICPs and then launching out cold email outreach campaigns based on the qualified data set that we have, right?
Mhm.
But in all of those cases, you are actually engaging the client individually. For example, let's say there are 10 companies where we have a data set. In those 10 companies, let's say, and all of them are our ICPs, and each of those companies you have figured out, say, 5 CXO positions whom you are typically mailing. So you're mailing or asking them to, let's say, come on a one-to-one session, or maybe pushing them for a meeting, or asking them, let's say, to go through our expertise and then following up for scheduling a call. But do you think a strategy similar to something called as a one-to-many, which I potentially see is, let's say, portraying people to, or categorizing people not in terms of, I would say, individual potential clients, but rather categorizing them in favor of industries, and then asking them to, let's say, join a webinar sort of a session like we are doing right now, and then pitching out to all of those together at a single stage, either from a perspective of product or from a perspective of service. Will a similar sort of a strategy work if we push that through our outbound campaign?
Not sure I understood everything about the strategy, but I'm not sure about contacting a lot of different companies and putting them in the same basket. Maybe having a call with everyone and offering them the same service or product. Maybe what you're talking about is an ABM strategy, so account-based marketing. So basically, instead of starting,
no, I think, sorry to
yeah, no
interject,
problem,
Rob.
no problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I know I'm not talking about account-based marketing at all. So let's say, for example, we potentially might have worked for in a domain such as healthcare. Okay, Let's say there is a XYZ client in healthcare for which we have worked, and the client is renowned in that particular region. We figure out list of similar potential competitor companies and shooting them out cold emails wherein we ask them to, let's say, join a webinar session where we are potentially explaining how we anonymously how we help this big healthcare client in your domain to do or achieve such and such results. And in those cases, do you think if we bring in ICPs or equivalent competitors onto a similar webinar session like we are doing right now and explaining them with the use case would work?
No, no. Honestly, I don't think this is the best way to do. I think that when it comes to a prospect, everyone wants to feel special. This is basic human psychology. What you need to do is that you need to focus on the fact that based on what the prospect is doing, you created this great guide or this great, I would say, maybe a call meeting with him that you're going to explain everything that you've done for the client ABC, and you want to make the prospect feel special. So obviously, this is going to have less impact if you invite him to a webinar where it's going to be a lot of other people that are maybe in the same industry, than just having a nice, honest call with this person where you're going to basically say the exact same thing. But from the prospect's point of view, the perceived value is going to be different, because I don't want to, terrorize, but the person in front is going to think that you took time off to explain something to him personally, and not that you just put a lot of people in the same batch in a webinar and explain the same thing. So obviously, this is something that you need to think about. And at the end of the day, as I told you, I could have a lot of intuitions about cold email. Some of them are true, some of them are false. The only thing that can distinguish the true from the falseness is the tests. So I think that the main goal for you is maybe to test on one space, test doing a webinar with a lot of same people in the same industry, try to do individual calls, see what is working best. My intuition is that the individual calls are going to work best because people are going to feel entitled, and they're going to feel the fact that you took time off and you're allowing them to understand something that they cannot understand otherwise, because you're providing something that is unique. So yeah, this will be my answer, but obviously it depends on the industry, but you need to test. My first intuition would be that the best is to talk to someone on a one-on-one level. Maybe you can bring other people from the same company. This is something that you can do. But having different people from different companies, all targeted via an email or LinkedIn DM, I don't think that it's going to be the best strategy out there.
Right, understood. See, Ralph, as just to add to that point of yours, fair enough what you mentioned, but just wanted to understand. See, what you explained or what you mentioned would definitely hold true in case of product-based organization. Let's say I have a product where I'm bringing in multiple people from different companies and then asking them out or pitching my product is in a webinar. Of course, that has a higher chance of backfiring. But do you think that would hold true for the service-based domain as well? Or do you suggest that it is worth giving a try in terms of test and see if that works?
I think that you need to test, but when it comes to webinars, the best way is to do paid ads, content. You fill the webinar this way. If you want to fill a webinar via cold email or LinkedIn DMs, you need to think about the fact that maybe instead of offering the place to the webinar or a seat at the webinar, maybe you could offer something else. And this is the cost of an opportunity. You need to figure out what is the best thing for you to do. Is it to bring someone in a webinar crowded with other people? Or maybe the best thing for you, or the more valuable for you to do, is just to have a one-on-one meeting. Maybe it's going to be very introductory, maybe less commercial, less transactional, but maybe more relationship. So obviously, it depends. You need to do the test. Sorry, maybe we need to go on a great question because he asked it 5 minutes ago. how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is the first line or first and second line of the email need to be using AI to show you've done your research about their company? Okay, so first step, let's talk about how important the first line is. This is the most important thing. When it comes to email, obviously you're going to have the subject, which is the most important thing. And the second most important thing will be the beginning of the first sentence, because this is the only thing that the prospects are going to see. And this is the only thing that prospects are going to click, or the only reason why prospects are going to click on your email. For LinkedIn, it's more about the first sentence, because obviously we don't have any subject. When it comes to AI, I think that the overuse of AI is not the great way to do outbound, because sometimes you have people who are overdoing AI. Every week, maybe every day on my LinkedIn or on my email, I see people saying to me stuff that makes no sense. Like, oh, I saw that you liked this post. I saw that you liked this, that you did this. I can see that it's AI written. So obviously you need AI to maybe give you a little boost about how you can personalize the first line, what you can say in the first line. But for example, let's take my example about the new in job. Let's say, Vlad, sorry, I'm making you travel every company in the world. Let's say tomorrow Vlad is going to Salesforce. Do I need AI to create the first sentence just saying, "Hey Vlad, congratulations on your new post or new role at Salesforce"? No, I don't need AI to do this. So AI is not the only answer. Obviously, you need to use it at some point, but sometimes you don't even need AI to create a great first line. You just need to be smart, relevant, find a good timing. If AI can help you maybe get a little bit more information, being a little bit more relevant, why not? But most of the time, it's like it's a dead trap. You think that is going to help you a lot, but if you don't use it well, it's just going to it's not going to benefit your bottom line. So I would say that for prospects where you don't have any information, you don't find an angle on which you can target them, maybe you can use AI to help you. But for example, Vlad is going to pipe drive next week. Very easy for me to target him. I don't need any AI to do it, because on my data set, I will have Vlad, old company, new job. And this is something that I can create very easily with my variables. I don't need to have AI creating the sentence, since I'm just going to say Vlad, which is the first name, mail dozo, mentioning mail dozo, potentially his old company, mentioning the new company, which will also be in one of my variables, and mentioning his new role, which also will be in my variables. So in this use case, for example, I don't even need AI. And this is the same, for example, for lookalike companies. As soon as we sign a client, for example, we sign Apple, the next day we're going to target Samsung. I don't really need AI to help me create the message, because I know what I'm going to say. I help Apple doing A, B, C, D. You have the same pain. We're going to help you do the same. Obviously, I'm not going to say it like this. It will be more about what Samsung is experiencing, etc., etc. But this is just a way to show you that AI is great, but it's not the only solution. Sometimes just having your brain is enough. But sometimes you don't have any information. It's hard to target people. So AI can help you or give you a little boost to make sure that you're on the right track and you are saying stuff that makes sense. Obviously, everything that AI is going to output, you need to, I would say, it's not read it, but check it, double check it, because sometimes it doesn't make any sense. Maybe I can even show you some of the messages. I have people telling me that I liked a comment or commented a post, which was 1 month ago, and I don't even remember. And this is something done by AI that makes literally no sense and that generates no answers. So I don't know if this is something that helps you see clearly if I answered to your question clearly.
Oh, if you don't mind, I think I could add something for this
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
Yeah, when I was launching my very first campaign, I I realized that AI cannot write really good text, really good copy, because it's always sounds artificial and not like people talk. And I'd say that AI could be really good for personalization. And we used some AI tools to mention recipients, competitors, to mention companies where they were working before, and so their ICP, their products, something like that, and even a number of employees in their company. But I think it could be done with deeper personalization if you target your audience when you target your audience, when you get your ICP, and it could help you to make it more personalized without AI.
Yeah, for sure. I think that yeah, exactly. AI is good for personalization, so give you more information that you didn't have, because obviously research takes a lot of time. So, for example, let's say we're also targeting Samsung. Maybe we want to know what is the top 3 clients of Samsung. This is something that is going to take time if I have 100 companies like Samsung that I need to research. So obviously AI is going to help in this way. But I need to format the output, make sure that everything is okay, it's well spoken and feels like a human speaking. The other thing that is very useful with AI in outbound is the data cleaning. So for example, when you scrape data or you extract data, it can be company data or people data, you're going to have a lot of information that is not right or that is not usable. For example, a lot of people on LinkedIn have BBA or PhD in their name. This is something that you need to withdraw. And obviously, AI can help you a lot doing this because it's very easy to do and it doesn't require AI to create. It requires AI to delete, and this is something that is very easy to do. The hardest part is to ask AI to create. Asking AI to find information, very easy. To create the info, I would say to format the information in a great way, today is not hard, but you will find discrepancies on maybe on a data set of 1,000 people. You will have some sentences that don't make sense. And if you don't check everything manually, you're going to look like a fool when the 2 or 3 prospects that have not been checked are going to receive something that doesn't make sense. Maybe Vlad, we can go back to your original questions before we took on the other question. I don't remember. I think it was about the limits.
Yeah, and yeah, I asked about on how to launch outbound in the UE, and also as I was asking about outbound's limitation, we have another one question about it, about on how to launch it for B2C companies. Is it possible?
Yeah, so obviously, as I'm a proud European, so in Europe, we don't have the right to launch cold email campaigns on B2C emails. This is something that is very different in the US. I think that in the US, they allow it. So obviously, if you have the right to do it, go ahead and do it. I think that maybe the main issue when it comes to B2C cold email is just to make sure that the emails are valid. And for this, you just need to have an email verification system or a tool that can help you just know if the emails are actual emails or are just emails that maybe doesn't exist anymore or whatever. When it comes to Europe, as I told you, the GDPR only allows us to do cold emails on B2B emails, but this is something that is very legal. So you don't have the right to send emails to B2C, so personal emails, but you have the right to do it on B2B emails. So this is something you need to take into account when you are maybe trying to target the European market. And when it comes to limit, what's the question about the limit per mailbox or per domain?
I was asking if it's possible to launch campaigns in Europe, but I think it's possible, but only for B2B.
Only for B2B. And be careful because we have an institution, the name is CNIL. So this is the French name, the CNIL,
Mhm.
and this is an institution that is not joking, and the sanctions or the fines are very high if they find people doing something that is considered illegal in Europe. So this is something you need to be very careful about, especially because if you're targeted by the CNIL, I think that all your domains are going to be burned directly, and I don't even know if you can do business again in Europe or with your emails accounts or with your domains. I think that it's going to be impossible, and you will have a big European institution on your tail. So this is not something that we need. When we do cold email, we have a lot of things to think about. So let's not add complexity to this. Only focus on B2B in Europe. In the rest of the world, just need to check about the different markets. I know that in the US you have the right to send personal emails. Maybe this is something that is changing. I don't know. But on my end, I rather do cold email only on B2B emails, because B2C emails are quite complicated. Sometimes the address don't exist. Very hard to find the addresses. So most of the time you're going to buy lead lists. And this is something that I don't recommend to my clients, buying lead lists, because at the end of the day, the quality of those lists are very bad. And obviously, if you want to keep your, and this is something that Vlad is going to tell you, because this is his expertise, but your domains, your mailboxes need to send to proper email or to proper mailboxes to make sure that your deliverability is high and that you don't burn your domains. If you start sending emails to personal emails that don't exist, you're going to see your deliverability go down, and you're going to end up in the spam folder, and this is not something that we want.
Yeah, I think it's very important. What services do you use for email validation?
So when it comes to verification, there is a lot of different tools. Obviously, if you take a look at media, you're going to find a lot of solutions, because I have a tool directory, but I can name drop a few. There is Mail Tester Ninja, Never Bounce, Zero Bounce, Million Verifier, Enro, which is a solution that does the email finding, but also the verification. And this is something very important. The process of verification is hard, but maybe I can explain it very quickly. The main goal is just to make sure that the email, the mailbox or the email address exists. If it doesn't exist, you don't want to send an email to this email, because it's either going to bounce or going to send you, you're going to like alert the email providers that you're doing something wrong. And if you do something wrong maybe on the data set of 10,000 people, and you have 3% of emails that are not valid, 300 people that are going to bounce, this is not something good for you, nor for your emails, nor for your domain webs. And as you know, and as obviously Vlad know, the mailboxes and the domains cost. So this costs you money, and you don't want to waste your money, especially because cold email is the best channel that you can use if you have low money or if you want to have a high ROI. Because obviously, when it comes to cold email, you just have to buy tools that are not that expensive. You can run the campaigns by yourself, and the results can be exponential. So you don't want to lose money on stupid, I would say, mistakes by sending to false emails, not having great mailboxes, having domains that are burned. This goes against the very purpose of cold email.
Yeah, I totally agree. As a marketer with like 12 years of experience, I really can say that outbound is much more effective than, I don't know, Meta ads or Google ads, yeah, especially in America. Could you name some differences between cold emails in the US and Europe? Are there any differences or not?
Honestly, so apart from the fact that obviously in France or in Europe, you cannot send cold emails to B2C mailboxes, I would say that the main difference comes from, I would say, the cultural relationship with outreach. I think that in the US, people are more used to being called or being messaged by people that want to sell them things. Whereas in Europe, this is something that is, I would say, not normal, but this is not something that is viewed from a good perspective. When you contact someone in Europe, most of the time is going to be annoyed at first. Whereas what I saw in the US, if you have something to offer and something that is relevant and it makes sense for them, they're not going to be offended. They will be happy to take a call with you. If the call is great, we'll be happy to try the solution. If the solution is great, happy to try the tool. But as soon as something breaks, the deal is over. In Europe, it's quite different. I would say that having the first touch point is very hard. But when you have the first touch point, it's very hard to lose the prospect if you do I would say, a decent job. So this is, I think, something cultural. Um, for example, it's the same question when it comes to cold calls. I have a lot of friends that are doing a lot of cold calls, and they always tell me that in the US, it's a better place to do cold calls. People are not. I will mimic someone in Europe. You call him, and he's going to look annoyed and sound annoyed. So you need to go out of your way to make sure that you comfort him and you try to bring something to him. Whereas in the US, you call someone. Obviously, it's in general. It's not the case for everything. But when you call someone, he's going to want to know what is your offer, what can you provide, and if it's something that makes sense, okay, let's go to a call. In Europe, it's not the same, but this is mainly cultural, I would say. Don't know what is your point of view about it, Vlad?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that in America, in the US, it's very common to use email communication to find new partners, find new providers. And as for me, I did find some providers via cold emails who contacted me, and then we started to collaborate.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there were some. You have something to add, or I had some questions I wanted to ask, and maybe it's time or not.
For people who are in the room,
As I'm very newbie to outbound, I have my own question, and also we got some questions in our community and in our LinkedIn, and maybe I could ask them.
yeah, go ahead, no problem.
Yeah, the very first question that everybody asks is how much time and money could it take to launch your very first campaign?
So when it comes to time, obviously you can spend a lot of times. You can spend, I would say, dozens of hours, as much as you can spend only 2 hours. Nowadays, you have tools that are helping you do the most tedious part about cold email, and this is an assist for you, Vlad, is the infrastructure part. So obviously, back in the days, we didn't have tools like Maildozo, so you had to manually buy your domains, manually create your mailboxes, manually do the DNS setup, etc., etc. This could take, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 hours per domain, and you had maybe 10 to 20 domains. So imagine the time wasted. Nowadays, there is a lot of time that you can gain based on tools, infrastructure, mail validation, mail verification, mail finding, data extraction, etc. If I need to maybe find a range of time, maybe for the first campaigns, I would say that maybe in less than 10 hours, you can have your first great campaign with a great strategy, different categorization, and everything that is set up. As soon as everything is set up, usually the only time that you're going to spend on the I would say the campaign is just answering to leads that are answering you back. So obviously interested answers, not interested answers. But as I told you, I have clients that spend hundreds of hours on, every detail should be perfect, etc. For me, on my end, I like to test fast, find the results fast, take decisions fast, and then automate and scale if everything is working. This is how I like to work. So I would say 10 hours. And the second part, sorry, of the question was how much time and money. So when it comes to money, obviously, now also an assist, you have tools that help you buy and create mailboxes and do the DNS setup. So this is something that is going to be very less expensive than a few years ago. And if I give you a range, I will say that you can start your campaign between $150 to 200 max for the, I would say, for the first beginners. You don't need more. You only need one sender, so a tool that helps you send. Most of the time, it's somewhere between $40 to $50 per month. You need a tool that will help you find the leads. So you can use Apollo, which is $49 per month. And then you only need a solution like Mendoza for the infrastructure and maybe a little bit of validation, a little bit of mail finding. So all in all, from I would say $100 to $200 maximum. And this is something that is not that you cannot do on any other channel. Obviously, you have cold emails, LinkedIn DMs, but on any other channel or marketing channel, you cannot do the same because with those $200, it's going to be per month for the most part. Obviously, on Maildozo, you have the domain, so you can buy them yearly, etc. But let's talk about per month. You're not going to find a better channel that for $150 per month can scale this much because obviously with $150 you can contact 100% per month, and you can also contact 2,000 or 3,000 person per month. So I think for the value to scale ratio, cold email is the best way to go because it's crazy cheap and you can scale it crazy high. So I think that all in all, it's very good. And after, obviously, you can spend a lot of money. I have clients who are spending somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 per month on outreach. But obviously, this will be different tools, higher tech, more mailboxes, a lot of sales. So yeah, it depends obviously on what is the need. But to start from $100 to $200 per month, very good.
Yeah, I agree, and that's insane how effective it is. Because in the US, we can spend like $10 just for a click on meta ads. But here, for just $200, you can launch your campaign and get discovery calls with your prospects. That's really cheap. That's really effective. Yep. So also,
sorry, 1 second.
yeah.
I have a small.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, quick problem of connection.
No problem. The next question was if someone really needs expertise, experience to launch cold email campaigns, or is it simple enough to do that if you don't have any? Do you need to involve someone experienced, or it's possible to do that by yourself?
No, I think that in every domain in life, and this is also psychology, but or philosophy, in every domain in life, you can do it yourself, or at least try if you find the right documentation. You have a lot of documentation on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Reddit, and especially when it comes to cold outreach. For the beginning, I don't think that you necessarily need help. You can start doing it yourself. But if you need help, I think that the best way to get help at the beginning is not going with an agency. And this is something a little bit paradoxical because I had my own agency, but agencies are for companies that have already done outreach and that are trying to scale this outreach at a point where they don't have to, I would say, micromanage it. when it comes to the beginners, I would say that the best way to start is either documenting yourself, learning how to do it, doing your first test, and if everything goes wrong, maybe contact an expert like me or a freelancer. And if you want directly to be helped, maybe start with a freelancer or with a coach. It's going to be less expensive. It's going to be more one-on-one, because you need to understand also that agencies, they have their own agenda, and their goal is to have as much clients as possible and spend as less time as possible on each client. Whereas a coach or a freelancer is more willing to give you time and energy, because you're going to be a part of, you're going to be a big part of, I would say, his business, and he's going to be proud of helping you. I don't know if it makes sense, but the help is going to be more one-on-one based, and you're going to get more knowledge than with an agency, whereas where most of the time the agencies, they only run, and then as soon as you stop paying, they cut everything, and you end up with basically nothing except interested leads, if they manage to create those opportunities. I would say that for business owners, as a business owner, I take pride in learning new ways of marketing, business, etc. So for me, it's very good to learn from people that have a lot of experience, understand how they are doing, understand how they are working, to make sure that I can replicate it, and maybe learn it myself, or maybe even help the coach make my team learn how to do it. So yeah, I think it depends also on the size of the company. But the first step, I would say, is to start with some documentation, because whoever you're going to select to help you, or even if you want to start alone, you need this information, because the more information you have, the more your decisions are going to be based on, I would say, real data and real convictions, because you know what is going on. I think for me, it's the most important part, is to know what is going on. As a business owner or as a head of sales or whatever, you need to know what is going on. Of course, you're not going to handle everything, because this is not obviously your job, or it's not your job. So you're not going to do it everything by yourself, but understanding is the first step. So at least documenting, and then selecting a good a good service-based person or agency, if you have the size to hire an agency. But from small-sized companies, I will recommend using either a coach or a freelancer that can do it all.
Yeah, I agree. I think that as for me, if I didn't work on those and didn't don't have teams that I can rely on, I think I would have found some experts and got their consultation on how to get started, and after that I'll start by myself. I think that on the one hand, it's not rocket science, and you can do and you can do that everything by yourself. And on the other hand, I think that the main skill that you need for outbound, as for me, is to understand your clients, their pain points. You really need to know your product and how to offer it, and how to communicate with prospects. And it's more important than some tech skills that you can dig into in 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, cool. Then, when it comes to email copywriting, are there any cool approaches or ideas that you usually use?
Like small hacks.
Yeah, like could you share some hook examples?
Yeah, so basically when it comes to hooks, what I like to do is base it on the signal that I'm using. So as I told you, if you have changed your company and I'm targeting you because you changed your company, obviously my hook is going to be based on the fact that you changed your company recently. So this is not rocket science. As soon as you have a signal, I would say that usually the first sentence or the icebreaker is pretty clear in your mind. If I target a company because the company has raised 2 million euros or $2 million the next month, obviously the icebreaker is going to be based on the fact that they have raised $2 million. I think that the main question that you're asking is when you have people to target on which you have no signal, no very clear approach, what is the best way to contact them? Most of the time, I try to do something that is very personalized. It can be about a former colleague, a former school from which the prospect has been to, former client on which maybe the prospect has worked on, just making sure that we have something relevant. And if I have nothing, sometimes I like to be honest. And sometimes honesty works because as I don't know who was asking that. I think it was Greg talking about AI. Nowadays, everyone uses AI. So if you send an email saying, sorry, my AI didn't find any information about you, but I have something to talk to you about, obviously it sounds very corny. It's something that maybe people are not going to answer to. But on the other hand, it's something that is very honest and transparent. And nowadays, the landscape has evolved so much that AI is changing the paradigm. It's changing the way we are looking at things. And this is also something that I'm very, like, it's my conviction. I'm sure that in a few years, sending messages like this, something like very, sorry, I didn't find anything to say about you. I'm writing this myself by hand, is going to generate more answers than some, I won't say bullshit, but some, random sentence created via AI, because we're going to arrive at a point where we're going to be, I would say, drunk with AI, and we will not be able to take more. I don't know if it makes sense, but we're going to be so much used to it that everything that is going maybe a little step off what AI is doing is going to feel like is going to feel refreshing, if it makes sense. Um, so yeah, sometimes I don't, maybe I can say this for my last words. For one of my clients, at some point we tried a strategy which was sending false emails. So they are not false emails, but when you create variables, the first name variable, company name variables, we made sure that those variables were staying as variables in the output email, just to receive an answer from those people saying, I think that you did a mistake. I think that your graph engineer did a mistake. And funnily enough, this kind of campaign worked very good. We had maybe 50% of answer rate. People were always saying, I think that you did a mistake, you did a mistake. And then as a follow-up, we were saying, sorry for the mistake. And since we did a mistake, we're going to offer you something. We offered the thing, which was the service of my client. And then we generated a lot of meeting based on this. So obviously, this is not something that I would recommend, because this is not something that I would recommend, but this is something to take a look at with a fresh eye and just realize that sometimes just stepping out of line can bring you more results than just following the basic blueprint that you're going to see on Twitter or on Reddit with AI created messages. I think that the most important thing about outbound is just your brain is the main engine. Obviously, AI can help you, but you need to have your brain working, thinking about what the prospect is going to feel if he receives this message or this message. What are they paying? What are they experiencing in their life? And yeah, I think this is the main, like, the main issue in outbound is how to keep it human in a day where in a world, sorry, where AI has taken over everything. Especially because at the end of the day, outreach is just a human sending an email or a LinkedIn DM or whatever to another human. So this is very simple, human to human. How do we make sure that we bring a lot of value and we bring, I would say, attention to the message to make sure that the person in front can answer?
Yeah, I agree. I think that AI really made it very valuable when you talk with someone human.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can even see it with Klarna, which is a big Swedish company. They decided to switch all their customer success with AI, and they saw a churn which was like a huge churn for year one. And then they decided to hire back because AI was not doing the job. And obviously, we have, we are in the hype cycle still with AI. We're still like, oh, amazing, ChatGPT can output a lot of great things. But as everything in life, we're going to reach a point where AI is not going to be as hype as before, and we're going to have a lot more expectations about AI. So this is something that we need to take into account, especially in the world of outbound, where your main goal is to differentiate yourself, from what other people are doing. And if everyone is doing AI, most of the messages are going to sound the same. How can you make sure that you differentiate yourself using your brain, using good strategies, and just trying stuff that could make sense without falling in the dead trap of just using AI to create random messages, blend messages.
Yeah, totally agree. As I can see, we don't have any question left in the chat, and thank you that you answered all of them. I think it was really helpful, as minimum for me. I got a lot of value from this conversation, and I really appreciate that you found time to join us as a guest speaker and share your expertise. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vlad. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And maybe I can share my LinkedIn profile on the so that maybe people can add me on LinkedIn. Don't hesitate if you have any question about outbound or about B2B marketing. I would be happy to answer you. And if you need any advice on how to launch your first email campaigns, don't hesitate to talk to Vlad, about the infrastructure, and don't hesitate to talk to me about the operational part and how to launch them correctly.
Yeah, great. I will add the link to your LinkedIn to tomorrow when I will publish the recording.
Great. Thank you so much, Vlad. Thank you for everyone who was there, and happy to have shared everything.
Thank you, guys.
Have a
Bye
great
bye.
day, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
day. Bye. Thank you.